All right, guys. Today we have Linda Berens with us. We have been waiting for this interview for a very long time. This has been the one that me and Thomas were looking at 3 years ago. This is one of the people we're like, we must have. So today we want to be exploring who is Linda Berens, who is the person behind these great books, these type vectors, all the stuff that we use. I think is by far the best system if you want to find your personality type. I mean, I've tried to debunk it, and I haven't been able to do it. So it is just perfect. So we're gonna be exploring who she is, how did she get to type, how did David Kersey impact her? Because we know if you know anything about the lore here, it goes David Kersey, Linda Barnes, Dario Nardi. So we want to explore that today. How did she come up with this? How did she come into this? How does it feel to be an INTP? Things of that nature. We want to actually know who she is. If no one knew who you were, how would you describe yourself and what you do? You could talk about type. You could talk about,
Okay.
what you find yourself doing in your leisure time.
All right. Well, if nobody knew who I was, and they said, well, usually in our culture, what people say is, what do you do? So I would say, at the moment, I'm retired, but not really. Um, I used to teach. My most exciting moments in life around my career have been being able to help people understand themselves and understand individual differences. And I think that's the biggest problem in the world is people have no tolerance for individual differences.
Mhm.
And so, um, but sort of, I don't know who I am. I was born in California, which is kind of unusual, sometimes unusual. Lot more people who come in. And during the World War II,
Mhm.
my parents came out to work in the shipyards.
Mhm.
And I was born here, but we went back to Kansas, and I was raised in Kansas and have that kind of Midwestern culture behind me. Um, Grew up in a small town, went off to happened to be kind of smart in terms of academics. So I went to college at Kansas University. Well, it was to university, and there I met my husband, and we've been together ever since. So, and he also has my preferences, so we understand each other a lot.
Mhm.
Of course, we had the same foibles, but that, and
Mhm.
like, oh, I got married. That's what girls did then. And uh, and it's probably kind of rare because we've been married. Oh my God, we got married in 1964. So
60 years, almost 60
yeah,
years.
60 years. Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
And so, yeah, there were a few rocky moments, but really good. And we have two children and six grandkids. Um, and uh, well, it just wound up coming, we got married and then there were jobs in California. So my husband we came to California and he worked in aerospace.
Mm.
I think he worked in aerospace before there was aerospace, but um, and then he retired from his aircraft, which was now Ford Aeronatronic or something like that. But uh, yeah, so I just I had to finish my degree, and I wound up in a class, taking a class from uh, David Kersey. I was getting a teaching credential, and it was in my master's degree that I wound up um, I don't know. I think that, yeah, it was my master's degree. I wound up in a counseling program so I could, be a counselor because I didn't really like being a teacher. Well, they didn't teach us anything about crowd control and managing, rebellious kids. So my student teaching experience was horrible because I didn't know how to, get control of the classroom. So, so anyway, I wound up uh, going to Cal State Fullerton and getting a degree in, French, because I got A's in it.
Hmm.
And then I went to, and I just kept, I went to, I think we went to Europe. My husband got sent to Europe, so we went there. Happened to live in Belgium. I spoke French, so that was fun. And we came back, and I went back to school to finish, to get more education, and wound up in David Kersey's class on counseling techniques and became his avid student. Became a school psychologist, got a Ph.D. in psychology, or whatever that was worth. Actually, it's more about salary than it was anything else. And I worked in the schools for a long time, and then I got budgeted out, because they they didn't really need um, psychologists
Mm.
around the world teaching people about individual differences. I haven't been everywhere, uh, but I've been to a fair number of places, and that was an exciting thing
Mhm.
to do. And so that's um, I liked learning about other cultures, and it seems to me that it's all about these differences that we have, and that different perspectives are uh, valuable, but we humans seem to like to stick to our own. Um, and I've been like tired for quite a while, so I just do some classes online, and but I do miss the classroom.
Mhm. Okay.
I don't miss the logistics of setting up a classroom. And it was really great when I had an office and then I had a classroom in this building. And now when I go to some physical therapy, that office is in view of that. So I get nostalgic all the time about this training room that I had. Uh, so we did workshops, and that was great.
Mhm. And did you always know that you were gonna do something with counseling or type or anything like that, or was it just like,
No, there wasn't such a thing as type. You're either boy or girl.
yeah,
You're black or white or yellow or whatever. So those were the distinctions. And when I grew up, that I don't even know. Well, maybe it's just the small town in Kansas, and I went to Kansas University, so it wasn't just always that. But um, and I got my degrees in Fullerton. But at any rate, I always valued differences, but I didn't. There wasn't a field of study to talk about what they were.
sometimes I forget like you're one of the pioneers, so there's not much before you. Um,
No,
yeah. Thomas, anything?
no. Well,
I mean,
well, there is a lot before me. The personality type stuff goes way back to the beginning of the 20th century.
Hmm. We call you on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
you said something about we stick to our own. Like, what did you mean by that exactly?
Well, I think I was I had a lot of trouble. No, I think we tend to be attracted to associate with people who have the same beliefs we have.
Mm.
That's sort of like that. But
Yeah.
but we don't. For some people, um, they may like a lot of, some people are more gregarious and they're interacting
Hmm.
with a whole lot of people. Other people are more solitary. So it's some of that gregariousness and solitary perspectives.
Hmm.
Um, and I think if what you want to have is a conversation about ideas, and you are a woman in the 1950s and 60s, uh, that doesn't quite go with the typical role that's expected.
Yeah, of course.
It's not always that gender aligned, but it has been, fairly different. I mean, and biologically, we have some hormones that have us be nesters and things like that.
Hmm. And I'm just curious because, I think often you see INTPs in certain specific areas. Is you feel like there's certain life experiences that kind of got you to, like, because you seem very people focused. You wanted to go into, you went to counseling. You're very people focused. You think that's because of certain life experiences, or what led you to down that route, if anything?
Um, well, I was always a good student. I wasn't always doing my homework right, but I mean, I was that was easy. Um, but I do think, well, I remember feeling like odd person out a lot and not really. So there was a lot of struggle, to be accepted in some ways.
FEMP.
Yeah. So um, I think the small town in Kansas and the various experiences I had um, kind of uh, catalyzed, I was going to say forced, but I think catalyzed some extroverted feeling development, not a
Hmm.
lot. And then, I met my husband, and it turned out when we got into personality type, his preferences are the same. And, we kind of run in intellectual circles, I guess. So I became a teacher,
Hmm.
right? And I didn't happen to like elementary school teaching because classroom control. So that was, I think I said that already.
Yeah.
And then to get a job as a teacher, when I got my credential was when the systems in California were flooded with teachers, so there were no jobs.
Hmm.
So that was one of those accidents. It was difficult to get a job, so I had to be a substitute teacher, which is horrible to be a substitute teacher and not have a good classroom management, because you know what kids like to do, especially
Hmm.
junior high kids like to do with getting their teachers to do things and say things, and it's, um, and so I had a very bad experience with that, and knew I didn't want to do that, so I went on and got this counseling degree because
Okay.
I'm still in the field of education, and then so there were jobs for counselors, and so then that's how I went down that path. It was more like there were openings that I took that were driven by the lack of fit.
Okay.
Yeah. And
That-
so, and then, I mean, I would say that now my experience of having landed in classes with David Kersey was like being died and going to heaven.
He,
You know,
he saved you,
well, sort of
kind.
like that. I mean, I probably, it was that understanding of why I was not fitting in.
Yeah.
So I don't
I
care
don't.
what our types are, we still are social beings, and to not fit in can be very painful for people.
Hmm.
And
Especially INTPs.
because you get teased or uh, yeah. So I think that's my answer.
Hmm. Growing up in the 1950s, how was it being an INTP woman? You know, um, because we know that INTPs are very sure of their understanding and their logic and that type of thing, but that kind of was different in the 1950s. So, could you explore that for us?
Oh, well, I was always a good student.
Hmm.
So I had support for, you know, not accolades, but uh, that felt good. What felt bad was the social side of things.
Hmm.
And I can remember, well, I'm sure this is a common experience. In a small town, there was one girl who made it her business to make everybody else unhappy. And so what would happen in fifth and sixth grade is that she would decide that somebody wasn't good enough or wasn't pretty enough or wasn't acceptable. And so I, at one point, was one of the targets of her dislike. Now, remember, there were only maybe 25 people in my class, small town. So you didn't have the diversity in the larger groups and the other places to find yourself. So I think socially, I never felt adept.
Yeah.
And that's a little bit of an exaggeration, but it kind of goes back to that third grade. I was always a good student, but the social side of things starts to become important when you hit puberty, especially the fourth grade, fifth grade, all of that. And it just kind of got worse and worse. So the teachers liked me, but some people don't like it when you're the teacher's pet.
Yeah. Um, what do you think people misunderstand about INTPs in general?
Well, I think it depends a lot on the context. So in a social context, um, it can be challenging. Um, at least for me, I always felt like I didn't know the rules of the game. And the social side of, and as an adult, the social side of my husband's business, there were just, group parties and stuff like that. It wasn't, but there was a kind of a demand to socialize. So I just felt odd person out. And now we're stuck up, I think, sometimes. Depends on the culture,
Hmm.
and I mean culture in a broad sense, not just, Chinese culture. And um, um, I have been happier in a larger school? Maybe. I just felt a little misfit, enough misfit to really want to help people who don't fit.
Hmm.
Maybe can you talk about like the early days, like meeting David Kiersey and kind of like learning about type and kind of like that whole process?
Yeah. My first days of meeting him, he was a little bit of a tongue-in-cheek curmudgeon. I don't know for sure what a curmudgeon is anymore, but that's the word that comes to me. And so I think so it was a big aha, like when he introduced those things, it's like, oh my gosh, it's okay that I'm different. And then that just opened up a whole lot of doors for social events that weren't social. In other words, like, what do you do with your spare time? Oh, well, I read books and I like to have conversations about things and I like to learn things.
Hmm.
I always felt like a misfit in high school and even in college, the beginning of college. Um,
And because I feel like a lot of people can be very, very skeptical about typology. I mean, I'm sure you've heard it before. People say it's like, oh, it's like astrology or it's like
Hmm.
horoscopes. Obviously, we don't feel that way. But so you, when you were introduced to it, like did you, were you skeptical or did it kind of just like kind of click immediately? Like, actually, there's something here. Like, there's some truth to this.
I remember being skeptical after I knew the models.
What do you mean, like the models, or like, yeah? Can you
Well, okay.
say more?
Yeah, so I came into the world of type during a a revolution, actually. A whole lot of things. And I remember I can't remember the name of the model, but it was there was the Big Five, but it was before the Big Five.
Hexaco?
I'm sorry, what?
Is it Hexaco?
No, I
Hexaco.
don't think so. But it was a model of individual differences that was talked about that didn't make a lot of sense to me. But it was that master's degree that got me into looking at individual differences and then learning from David Kersey about that and Marilyn Bates. People don't, he said, David said he wouldn't have done all that work. It was really Marilyn who did it.
Mm. Marilyn Bates. I'm gonna look that up.
Marilyn Bates. Marilyn Bates was the chair of the department or whatever it was that it was the name of that division at Cal State Fullerton.
Hmm.
It, it wasn't called Cal State Fullerton at the time, but anyway. At any rate, that was just like a novel thing, something new, and it was just a class I took. So, academic, had to take this class, started learning a whole lot. Um, and then it did answer a lot of questions that I had that I didn't know I had actually.
So with David Kersey, we've noticed from his books, I think it's is it which one is it? Please understand me.
That was the
Um,
first one. Mhm.
that he uses a couple metrics, abstract, pragmatic, I mean utilitarian, cooperation, and concrete. But you added on a couple other metrics. How did you go about that? You added like systematic, informative, direct.
Uh,
Um,
yeah, that came from, I don't know if it was a Big Five, but it was another framework that um, there was another framework that was out there
mhm,
that didn't quite work for me. So it was kind of like tweaking it.
mhm,
I can't remember. Remember, I think there may have been a book written, and I keep looking over at my bookcase. That's what I'm looking at.
mhm.
Um, I'm sure there's a book over there I could go find and say, oh, well, this book. It just somehow or other I got the framework of understanding individual differences, and there's body, mind, spirit. So that triumvirate was part of what drove me to clarify what I saw in the spirit aspect. Kersey's work was about the mind.
Mm,
There's work about the body, which is really going on a lot in the earliest, the last century, in the 20s and 30s of the last century. And and so body, mind, spirit has always driven me, and then I have I have toyed with this idea, but I it's not very solid for me because I haven't been doing this. I mean, I don't spend my days doing this at all. I spend my days playing with the cat and um, doing a little bit of reading and novels and taking care of the house and taking care of my husband. So, um, which is kind of ironic. Anyway, it was just that idea of those three models
mhm.
And then I think I have thought about writing a book about the fourth model,
Mm-hmm.
which I can't remember now which one that was. There's this stuff called, I'm looking at my bookcase over there, Spiral Dynamics, and they were
Mm-hmm.
looking at something else. So I was looking at that. I was looking at um, other ways of looking at things. And I had like a little framework I was looking at that I can't tell you what it was, but it would either, this is a good model or this is a model. This model is mixing models.
Mm-hmm.
So I found a lot of people, and this is a little bit arrogant of me, but maybe a lot arrogant, but a lot of people were playing with this stuff, but not really being accurate.
Mm. TI hero.
Yeah. Gee, can you imagine that? And so they're like describing something, and my concern is that that could lead people astray. And if people take a test that tells them that they're an ISTJ and they actually have preferences for INFJ,
Mm-hmm.
you know, that's going to be, and that's been my biggest message. Don't
Mm-hmm.
trust the test. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's weird. That just was me speaking and came back in. Anyway, so don't trust the test.
Mm-hmm.
It's only one data point. So I came across that was when the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator was being published, just beginning to be formed by this company. And for a while, I had a really good relationship with them, and it was a mutual. We're developing models and stuff. Um, but then they got bought out and became very different. So very test oriented. So it's the thing I've always been resistant to and proselytizing about is don't do test and tell. That it's a self-discovery process that's valuable, not the label. Because if you do test and tell, you might be wrong. And you can have somebody with, I don't know, I can't think of an example really. Somebody with preferences for one thing and they take a test and it tells them that, oh, well, you would be really good as a software developer. And these people are really friendly and gregarious and that's not that somebody who has those preferences can't do software development. But if they're expected to sit in the cubicle and do this all the time, they're like psychological death. And so
Mm-hmm.
they either learn to manage their lives with some fulfillment elsewhere and do their job to get paid. But it's better, it's healthier if you know about the differences rather than feeling defective.
Uh, what practical uses would you say typology has? Or like what have you seen, I guess, how have you seen it benefit other people?
Communication's the main one. So, if somebody's speaking apples and somebody's speaking oranges, they're different fruits.
Hmm.
So they think they're describing the same thing because they see different things. So it, it's just really important to understand and make space for. So making space is the term. I don't know where I got it, but that's a term that I use a lot. It's to understand and make space for. You don't need to change yourself, but just understand that there are different perspectives. And this lack of understanding different perspectives is why we have war.
Mm-hmm.
It's why we have, I think, a lot of the problems where people get so despaired that they kill themselves. It's not always the cause of suicide, but there's still a lot of pain in the world and suffering due to not understanding individual differences. And those individual differences are not just a typology. I mean, there are different ways of understanding the way our brains work, our bodies, and the all kinds of other factors like um, I was raised in a small town. I was raised by my grandparents for a while, and then my stepmother and my father. And um, I will say, if I hadn't been a good student, I would have been a rebellious kid. You know, like I had, so I got an identity that worked, but it didn't work on the social side because I didn't have that capacity. So I never felt, growing up as a teenager, that's the social side's what's important for a lot of people.
Hmm.
And so I felt defective in that way. And then understanding personality type made the big difference to me. So um, it's just valuing and honoring individual differences. And if you have a framework to understand some of those, that helps make people understand, I think it opens the door to making space for those things. So it's about, and that making space, I don't know where that term came from, but I got it somewhere from somebody. But it's about making space because it isn't that you have to change people, you just make space for them to be different and you honor their differences. And if those differences, and that extends to everything, but having a framework to understand some of those makes a big difference.
Mm.
My daughter has ENFJ preferences. My son, our son has INTP preferences. My husband has INTP preferences. I have INTP preferences.
Jesus.
Yeah. And so she grew up, I think, a little bit feeling like she didn't fit. And she actually is my role model and has taught me an awful lot about developing extroverted feeling. Um, so I think that, that configuration, and then her brother has INTP preferences, right? So they're three in one.
Mhm.
And so um,
A lot of TI.
a lot of TI. And and thankfully, I mean, I was already in the master's program. So I already had that understanding when she was born, and my husband understood it. So in the beginning of the type world, there were lots of meetings and retreats you went to, and um, at least in Southern California.
Mhm.
So we knew about it, so we made space and valued it as much as we could. And I've always been concerned that um, we didn't make space for her.
Mm. FE.
Yeah.
What does your husband think about type?
Well, he's not a type guru, but he's he likes it. He's not right now. He doesn't think about a lot of things. He's had two strokes,
Sorry.
has some memory issues. He's um, he's hung on a lot longer than people would expect.
Mhm.
And my concern is I can't get him out to walk. He should, but he doesn't want to. So I think he is suffering a lot from the stroke effects
Mhm.
and the memory issues that come with it.
Mhm.
And then if you, I think it affects your self-esteem depending on what aspect is. So
Mhm.
but he's doing pretty good, but
Mhm.
not. Uh, and he also, because he understood the differences as well,
Mhm.
I think he was better with Stephanie than I was.
Mm. So when you guys were younger and you were like writing these books, you were going to all these seminars, you were like, I mean, you've been the president for a psychological type for a while.
Mhm.
What was your husband doing? Like, what was his thoughts of all of this?
I've thought about that a lot recently. He was here. He was here for the kids.
Hmm.
And I mean, we live in a good neighborhood. We've lived here since um, our son was 2 years old when we moved here.
Mm.
So ages ago, 60 years or so. Well,
Whoa.
maybe. I don't think he's 60. I can't remember. I don't know how old he is. I have to look it up. I'm not even sure how old my daughter is. Um, but uh, I mean, if he had, for one thing, when I got into that master's program, then we had a model for
Mhm.
understanding the individual differences. So we used that information
Mhm.
a lot. He wasn't as obsessed with it as I was, but um, and one of the things that sticks with me is I went to a party. Oh God, parties. Hate so the social side of things because I didn't know how to do that very well. But one of his mentors took me aside and said, "Do you understand how smart your husband is? He's not very social, and neither am I." So, but he has one friend that they go to lunch on Fridays. So,
Okay.
but uh, I don't know what they talk about, but they find things to talk about. So, and for a while, he really kept up his. I think retirement was not the best thing for him,
Mhm.
and I don't remember why he retired. Well, I think he was tired of it.
Mhm.
It was it was very different when it was the uh, the culture of the company when it was I can't remember what it was called when he went to work there. Ford Aeronutronic was a different company, and then he went to this other company, which he was there his whole career,
Mhm.
and there were just a lot of changes. It used to be about learning, and it was fairly, but then it became about the dollar, the big business stuff.
Mhm.
So he was kind of ready to get out.
What do you think is the best way for somebody to develop their personality type? Like develop as their personality type.
Well, I think it starts with having acceptance of who you are. And and so if you are accepted for who you are, then then you feel good about that. If you aren't, you feel defective.
Mhm.
So I was thinking about, how my dad, I would have conversations with my dad about, and I got frustrated because I always wanted to know how things work. So
Mhm.
people wouldn't tell me how things work, but he would tell me usually,
Mhm.
unless he didn't know. And then that was a problem because then he didn't want to admit he didn't know. Um, that just took me back to the history of my parents got divorced when I was 5, so I was spending time, and this is Kansas, so I was my mother moved away, so and my stepmother always said she was not going to try to replace her.
Mhm.
So she, welcomed her and, was supportive. Um, and I totally forgot what question you asked me.
I was just asking, what do you think is the best way to develop your personality? So, like, let's say if somebody is an INTJ, what do you think is the best way for them to develop, or an INTP, or
Well, I would say the best thing for development is an environment that accepts the differences and honors those differences. For somebody, I mean, if differences aren't honored, then you have bigotry
mm,
and oppression. So the important thing is to let kids be who they are and appreciate them for what they do.
mm,
And um, rather than constantly trying to make them like you. So it's that be like me thing.
hmm I'm
Mhm.
not gonna lie. I've before getting into typology, I used to be more everybody needs to be like me. Like I couldn't understand, why people aren't focused, why people aren't trying to be the best version of themselves or like that. But understanding type has allowed me to like back off and understand that their way of seeing the world has merit and it does work. That's
Yeah.
what was the most important thing for me. It's just noticing that like even somebody who's an INFP, like if you break down introverted feeling and you understand it, you understand why it is important to honor it if it was your hero function, or
Hmm.
the things of that nature. That has been the best part for me. And then just also realizing that like when people said like you don't really care how other people feel or like that type of thing, I used to just throw it away like oh they're just but now I understand with my personality type it's extroverted feeling is just not something I'm very good at. It takes me like like other things take me like 1 or 2 steps. Extroverted feeling takes me like 3 steps, so I got to think about it, process it, and
Hmm.
and then by the time that happens it's too late.
So
uh
your preferences are
ENTJ.
okay.
Yeah, so it's hard for me to process the how other people feel unless I sit down
Mm.
and think about it. Like I have to like I have to think about it in a different way. It just didn't come natural to me. And a lot of times I just if I'm thinking about like how we're gonna do something, I'm not accounting for like how someone's gonna feel about it. I'm focused on
Hmm. Hmm.
the task that we need to
Yeah.
do to get done. But I've learned that like you have to account for how other people feel because if they feel good, then they're more likely to keep going or their morale will be up or they'll get things done
Hmm.
faster. I have to thank you for that. I probably could have went my whole life just thinking people were just whining. Um,
Well, theorist to theorist. That's easy to see. Yeah.
yeah. Also, yeah, I got one. What do you think needs to be added to type? Um, Going into the future, what do you think is something that someone can add or something that people so I'm an NI user, so I like to refine things,
Uh-huh.
not add. You're an NE user, so you like to add. So what do you think is something that could be added to type or something that people should look at or go into?
Well, the main thing is that there are multiple frameworks, not just the ones that we know.
Hmm.
So, so it's an openness to other frameworks.
Hmm.
And um, I think in the past, not about type, but why type is so important. In the past, people only looked at physical differences, like race. Those are really broad categories.
Hmm.
Um, uh, Body type sometimes just winds up being a way of looking at things.
Hmm.
Of course, what they don't know with looking just at body type, in other words, somebody's fat and skinny, fat or skinny, or tall or short, or um, lumpy or svelte, and so that it's does it. The main thing is to appreciate individual differences, whatever differences that are there, they're there for a reason, and so um, they may be developed,
Hmm.
and that's the other thing, is if we grew up in environments that didn't honor who we were, who
Hmm.
we are, then it's really hard to feel good about that.
Hmm.
And so that to me is the biggest gift, is to honor those differences and allow them, yeah, to make space. I think that's a term I've used for a long time.
Hmm.
Make space for others.
So
It's understand yourself and make space for others.
Mhm. So you were saying you were writing a new book, or you were thinking about writing a new book.
I was going to say, well, yeah, thinking about it.
What do you think the general summary or gist of that will be about?
Well, I think there's a need to have this other model. So there's really kind of two books. The booklets like this.
Yeah, the blue one. Yeah, I have that one. That's the cognitive
That's
functions.
funny.
It's got to be yeah.
All blurry. But anyway,
It's the cognitive function ones.
yeah,
The Dario Nardi.
this is the type code that I think when I wrote with Dario.
Yeah.
Um, there's okay, so there's another model, I would say like the fourth lens. Right now there's temperament, I call it essential motivators, interaction style,
Hmm.
and cognitive dynamics.
What about
But
holistic one? You have the holistic book too, where you talk about the holistic one. It's the one you wrote with Dario, where you like did a breakdown of how the type looks to the whole as a whole. It's like a yellowish one. Um, it's like
uh,
it's one which you wrote and you had it was with Dario and man, I don't have it here because I have it in my work at work that I use when I do my breakdowns.
uh-huh,
But you have one where you talk about. Let me see if I can
Is
find.
that the one with like the overview of each of the types with like the
Yeah.
personal like where they surveyed like a bunch of people from one type and then
Hmm.
they synthesized it into like one explanation?
Yeah.
It's that one.
Yeah. Yeah.
beats the
I
heck
could
out of me.
I might have it. I can grab it. So,
You said it's yellow?
Yeah, it's like a goldish yellow one. It's the 16 personality types descriptions for self-discovery.
yeah,
Linda V. Berens and Dario Nardi, that one.
yeah.
Oh, and it's a big,
It's a pamphlet. It's like these.
Yeah, it's
it's
not
like
It's
very
a little
a,
bit
thick.
thicker. It's a little bit thicker than this one, but
well, it's probably over there on my bookcase.
yeah.
Well, we did descriptions for self-discovery, that title,
Hmm.
because that title is very important to me.
Hmm.
No.
And
So
are you going to be making like a 3.0 or a 4.0 of this one? Because you have a 4.0 of this one, but we only have a 2.0 of this one.
I haven't felt the need to found something different.
Okay.
Like what what's the 4.0 one?
The introductions to temperament says 4.0.
Yeah, because that's the one that had been around for a long time. And as I used the models and talked with others about it, it developed into something different.
Yeah.
But um, I don't think there will be. I don't know about it. It's on my do list, but my do list takes second place to petting my cat. It's like I don't know. I don't. I'm actually it's just something I'm concerned about because
That's something I'm
I
concerned about.
I have so many things that I want to get done, but I don't get them done. So I get up in the morning, I have my coffee or my tea, and then I haven't had my coffee yet. I haven't finished my tea.
Hmm.
Um, the green tea is a health thing, and then the coffee is is a
Energy.
nice thing, especially since I had to wean myself off of sugar in it. Um, but yeah, and so I have that. Like I just have gotten into a lazy. I call it lazy, but I'm not. Uh, yeah. So I need to tidy up some things in here. Um, I need to organize some things. I need to,
Trust me, I know.
yeah,
My
that's that.
girlfriend's INTP, so I know how she is. It's funny.
There's an extroverted thinking, like I ought to, woulda, shoulda, coulda, do the extroverted thinking stuff.
Yeah.
And, but mostly, yeah. So I think personally, I'm just experiencing um, age. I don't know how I got to be 81. Well, I know how I got to be 81 because I was 80 last year. But so when I hit my 80th birthday, it's like, oh my God, really? And that had to do with most of my relatives died in their 80s.
Hmm.
So
Oh.
I've been dealing with, we don't need any self-fulfilling prophecies here. And my husband's 2 years older than myself, so um, my work's not done. So I want my work to get done.
Yeah, yeah. I always tell people. Someone told me a quote when I was younger. He said when he was 60, he said people should pray to God every day they make it to my age. And I was like, because a lot of people don't make it to 80 or
Yeah.
81.
Well, there are more people making it now than used to because of
Health, medical.
some maybe fewer wars. I don't know, but
Mhm. And how was Dario Nardi as a student? I'm just curious to hear that.
oh my God. Um, well, it was bright. His mother gave him the attending my class for his birthday.
Mm, okay.
And so he was in this class, and it was a class that was, I don't remember what the crisis was, but there was some kind of a crisis um, in Southern California.
Hmm.
And I remember there was something happened, like a dam broke, or I don't know, there was something that was just a crisis that affected the whole area. And I went ahead, I had already booked this place, and only 7 people showed up for my workshop.
Hmm.
Dario was one of them. His mother gifted it to him for his birthday. Linda Ernst was another one who became a business partner, and Melissa Smith was another one who was um, already working with Linda Ernst in training trainers. So I had Linda Ernst and Melissa Smith, whose skill set was training. So they taught people how to facilitate training. It was a time of the big companies offering training to their employees. So they were um, part of a woman named Jean Barbizet who had a training clinic, and her training clinic was how to train trainers. Was
Hmm.
training clinic, treat people to do training and facilitation. So I looked. They came to my class, and then um, they wanted to help me develop my training skills. So then they became my business partners.
How was he in
Young, I think he was maybe 19. I don't know.
19? Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm not sure he was drinking age. Um, and his mother gifted it to him. And so he was a good student, and we kept up a relationship
Yeah.
and wound up developing some things together. I don't remember if he came to the classes I taught. The other ones he may have.
Hmm.
Um, well, I know he did because I had offices over here by the freeway as opposed to where they were before. And and he came to something there. And anyway, we just had and his yeah, he just I don't remember how we became business partners in some ways, but we were more I don't know if I ever paid him. I think maybe we more worked together, but I can't remember if he did work for the company
Hmm.
with me. I don't remember if we taught together even. A lot of memories.
Thomas, anything?
Yeah, I want to just try to go back to something. I think we kind of may have touched on it a little bit earlier, but Mercer asked you about like the different metrics or the different vectors. Like you have like abstract versus concrete and Kiersey called it, I think it was cooperative versus utilitarian, so on and so forth. How did you, I mean, I know you talked about there were like other models around and that you may have gathered some ideas from other books, but how exactly how did you figure out like direct versus like directive versus informing? Like, and how did you figure out these different metrics? Because I mean, once you figure it out, I think it's easy to see it, but I mean, coming from it's a different perspective, like not knowing about any of this
Mhm.
stuff and then trying to figure it out, you know? Um,
Well, I had some models in my head,
yeah.
some meta models, I guess.
Okay.
The first thing um, is the pattern, the wholeness.
Yeah.
So if you haven't um, watched anything about Fritjof Capra, I recommend you do that.
What is it called?
Fritjof Capra.
That's a person.
Uh-huh.
Which
Fritjof. Let me see. I think I may have written his name down because he was he did something with God, I don't know. Fritjof Capra, he wrote a book. Mm. He did presentations. I invited him and he did presentations at my learning center. But it's the idea of living systems and the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. And that you can't understand personality or any complex living system by
Mm.
focusing
Mhm.
on the parts. It's important to understand the various variables, but you have to look at the whole. So my big beef with type in the Myers-Briggs is you're not a thinker, you're not a feeler. You have preferences for introverted thinking or extroverted thinking.
Mhm.
That's and so on. So that to me is the biggest danger, is that then that becomes a label. And it's a part, it's not a whole. So I was looking for whole patterns. And then what are the dynamics that support those patterns? And so it's like a plant that's growing. There's something in the seed that makes it grow into the plant. And then but it's a whole plant. We're human beings. You know, we can talk about the different aspects of our being, the physical aspects, the mental ones, I suppose, or behavioral ones. But we're whole. And it's the wholeness that got missed when we start dissecting things into E, I, S, N, T, F, and JP. Excuse me. Anyway, so that's the main point. And that's what is wrong with extroversion and introversion, sensing and intuiting. We're not a sensor or an intuitor. I will kind of go along with, well, I'm basically an introvert, but you know, and I will kind of go along with I'm a theorist with catalyst rising. But see, that's still wholeness. So the
Mhm.
whole is greater than the sum of the parts. And you will never, ever, ever be able to understand the whole by looking only at a part. It's that part in a context. And I think that was the greatest gift I got from David Kersey, was understanding living systems. And I think he got some of that from Marilyn Bates.
Mhm.
I
So,
don't know. So
so Frisia Capra, it says he's like a physicist.
Fritjof,
Frisia,
Fritjof. Yes, I think he is a physicist.
yeah.
There's a
Okay.
whole bunch of stuff online about him.
Yeah. And what do you think type is going to evolve to in the future with AI? You know, that thing.
I have no understanding of AI.
Mhm.
Um, my primitive understanding of it is it's only it's only as good as the foundations that it I just don't, my fear about it is that it's based on parts, not wholes,
Mm-hmm.
but they understand it from a software understanding.
Mm-hmm.
But what else is there? So I haven't paid attention to it. I've been kind of like, no, not me.
I understand.
Um, it's maybe it's my cat's fault or something, but but I don't have I guess I have some concerns about it,
Mm-hmm.
because it's only as good as the programming.
Mm-hmm.
And my husband was a software engineer. Like he worked in native machine language,
Mm-hmm.
not simplistic software stuff. So that's again the complexity of the whole and all of the little parts.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be my biggest fear, is that the whole gets lost.
And is anything next for you? Are you still teaching? Are you
That's the question of the year, I guess. Well, I am teaching. I have one class called mentorship for people who've taken my class, and they come together and we have conversations. I have had I had a mm, I can't remember what I called it. It was the first Tuesday of the month class,
mm-hmm.
which
Yeah.
was a that was a marketing class, really. Um, it was just to give people a sample of what it's like to learn with me
Mm-hmm.
and to have some sense of community. Um, but I don't know. I keep thinking there's another book to be written, and then there's the big book to be written. The big book of personality type.
Are you gonna write the big book?
Well, I don't know. If I don't know who would. But like this one, they're all limited. This is the personality type code. But then I did, I did with my daughter. My daughter put this book together. Oh, I can't see it.
You see
There we go.
It's oh
mindfully
there we
you.
Mindfully,
Is
okay.
that okay?
we haven't been selling it. Reducing conflict in all relationships using interaction styles.
Mm, hmm.
Um, that's a 72-page book. So
Everyone loves your books because they're so easy.
they are. I don't know how I got into that. Somebody helped me, I think. But um,
Like a magazine.
well, this one has a journal in it.
Mm,
So that you could. Well, it's some of what my daughter put in. I had the basic thing, but and then there's always, what are the various aspects of personality? The talents. That's how this one is. Stress reactions, patterns of interaction styles, 4 variations of the styles. So, like, there's the envisioner, mentor, implementer, supervisor. Those are all in charge.
hmm.
Promoter, executor, strategist, mobilizer. My ex-son-in-law was a promoter executor in ESTP. Um, I think he might have had ESFP preferences. I don't remember. And then this was about the mindfulness stuff, but shifting. I
Hmm.
need to talk to Stephanie about this. I think we probably should publish it.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, she married a printer, so what,
What is his type? You know?
no, I think it's ESFP.
Oh, ENFJ and ESFP.
Yeah, I think so.
Interesting.
He's
Okay.
he might have ESFJ preferences. I don't know.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know him very well, really.
Well, well, Linda, I know you got things to do. It was a pleasure to have you on. I'm gonna
Thank you.
post it on my YouTube channel, and we're gonna send links to all of your stuff. We already like promote your book in pretty much every video we do,
Mhm.
because we think it's very important to honor those who have done the work, so that we, um,
One day, one day I got in. Well, sometime I was into um, putting your vision, like doing a vision board of some kind.
mhm,
And I remember we have an atrium with windows, and so we had big pieces of chart paper up on there. And we were doing it's one of my colleagues, I can't remember what. We were doing what do you want to what would you want to have happen?
mhm,
And I said I wanted to get paid. I wanted to travel and teach and get paid.
mhm. Your NI board,
And I got to do it.
the power of NI.
More about what do I want to do.
Mhm,
And partly, I mean, by that time I had majored in French. So I had been in Europe, in Belgium,
mhm,
and what I've been trying to fit together in my mind, I can't remember if I knew about type when I went to Belgium, or was it after that that I learned about it. But I've always been interested in cultural differences and individual differences and bridging those differences.
mhm. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I got into type because of like self-development. I really like self-development, so I'm like a self-development junkie. I
mm.
always see like I always want to just master myself. It's just like something I've always been compelled to do. Is just
Hmm.
master myself. So typology is always kind of been in that lens. Like took the 16 personality test, got ENTJ, was like I read it, was like, oh, it makes sense. My friend took it. She got INFJ and I read it. I'm like, this isn't you. And she's an INFP. But they usually will take the test and get INFJ.
Yeah,
And
cultural
yeah,
stuff. Yeah,
yeah. So
yeah.
um type is helped me quite a bit because it just allows me to instantly know where someone's coming from or where they're going or
Right.
like the way they see the world, or like what kind of shortcomings they're gonna have. So then I can use it for NI anticipation.
Mm.
I can anticipate everything that might happen, and then I feel a lot better, way more comfortable.
Mm.
um but it's also just allowing the communication, like you said, communication is really good.
Hmm. It is.
And another thing is, I think most people don't realize the hero function. I think the hero function in the way the hero function manifests, because it's literally in like everything the person does, that
Hmm.
someone's is slightly unconscious to the
Yeah.
person. So it kind of just like most people will like pick fields or do jobs or like all this type of thing, and they wonder why they're not happy, and it's because they're not serving the hero function in the
Hmm.
way that it wants to be served. So sometimes I talk to random people and then I tell them like, oh, you're really good at this. And they're like, or, and they're like, they're blown away. So that's all thanks to you. Yeah.
That reminded me of when I was a teenager in Kansas, small town, two main streets. This is it. Down at the end of this one was a restaurant. That was that there were two main restaurants and a little coffee shop, I think, in this town. And I was raised in one of the restaurants, but then when I was a teenager, I got a job working in this other one. I just when I look back on it, I keep thinking a lot about that job, and I was always wanting to improve things.
Hmm.
And the woman that owned it, she was always in the kitchen, and she did some kind of cooking, but I also had to be a fry cook. So every time I cook eggs in the morning, I mean, every day when I cook my husband his eggs, I remember being a fry cook. And there was uh, there were 8 seats on the counters and 4 booths and 4 tables.
Hmm.
And that was it. And then when there were some construction workers came in to build a dam, and it was over in another town, but they stayed in and they came into the restaurant, and I dated one of them. That was kind of a nightmare. But
It kind of makes me laugh because like the some of the phrases and sentences you use is very similar to my girlfriend. Like the way she was, oh, that was a nightmare. Or I'm concerned. She'll say the word I'm concerned or I'm worried about this.
yeah,
It's kind of funny.
yeah. So anyway, it's
Right.
been an interesting life growing up. I mean, I was 5 years old taking water to the customers and taking their orders. And then my mother thought I was in the service. My mother thought I was playing, and so the orders didn't get filled, but the glasses of water were on the customer's table.
Hmm.
So the waitresses thought that they had been served by the other one. So that's one of my big memories of working in the restaurant. But yeah, I grew up there as a little kid. The waitresses who would go in the ladies' room and they would be fixing my hair. I had Goldilocks hair,
Hmm.
little ringlets and curls. And my hair's not this color, but anyway, so I have lots of fond memories of that. And this is, like I said, every time I cook my husband's eggs, which I guess it's time to do.
Well, all right, Linda, it's been an absolute pleasure and thank you
Oh,
for
thank you.
coming
It's fun.
on
Yeah,
and we'll
great.
see you around. All
All
right,
right,
take
thanks.
it easy.
Thank you so much.
Mm,
Have a great day.
Bye.
you too. Bye bye.
Bye.